Welcome back, everybody, to another Real Chums movie review. This is a big one. We're talking about Disney's first ever animated film brought to life with modern technology. And let's just say it's been a journey to get here. There's been controversy, delays, debates over casting, and now, after all the speculation, the movie is finally here. So, was it worth the wait? Well, let's talk about it. But before we do, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Here at Real Chums, we host a weekly movie podcast, movie reviews like these. We have a new segment of recommendations on what to watch and what not to watch. So be sure to follow along so you never miss an episode. Fair warning, this review will be full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, consider this your heads up. So what's the story? Well, if you've seen the original 1937 animated classic, you know the basics. Snow White, a young princess, is targeted by her evil stepmother, the evil queen, who wants her dead. Snow escapes, she finds refuge, and ultimately fights to reclaim her kingdom. But here's where this live-action version shakes things up a bit. It gives Snow White more agency. She's not just a passive princess waiting for a prince, rather she's reclaiming what was taken from her. That's a big shift, and honestly, it works. Going into this, I wasn't expecting much. I've never been a fan of Disney's live action remakes, and I've tried watching the animated Snow White multiple times, but I always fall asleep. So my expectations were pretty low. However, surprise, surprise, this was actually a fun time. The movie expands on the original in meaningful ways. It adds new songs that fit well, and it gives Snow White actual character growth. It leans heavy into the fantasy and magic elements, making it feel like a true musical. Let's talk about what worked. First and foremost, Rachel Zegler. Look, say what you want about some of her pre-release interviews, but man, Rachel can sing. She already proved herself in Spielberg's West Side Story, in that Hunger Games prequel, and here she carries the movie. Not because the supporting cast was bad, but because the filmmakers clearly leaned into her musical talent. And I get it. When you cast someone like Rachel, you want to take advantage of those vocal chops. She brings sincerity and humility to Snow White, very reminiscent of Lily James in the Cinderella live-action movie. The music, I loved it. The classic songs were respectfully updated, and the new ones blended in seamlessly. It almost felt like Alan Menken could have written them. But no, the credit goes to Ben, I think his name is Benj Pasek, and Justin Paul. They're the duo behind hits like The Greatest Showman, La La Land. They wrote those lyrics. The opening number sets up the world beautifully, and there's a standout moment where Snow White and Jonathan, her love interest, share a song that gave me huge La La Land vibes. It's cute, it's flirty, it's fun. For me, it was definitely a highlight. Visually, the non-CGI moments stood out. Scenes in the town, in the real forest, those were solid. But there's a lot of CGI here, and not all of it is great. More on that in a second. Like I said, Rachel Zegler, she's fantastic. Gal Gadot as the evil queen, she's fine. She has one great moment, and that's her villain song. That's truly where she shines. She leans into the campy Disney villain energy, and quite honestly, it works. Outside of that, she's okay. I see what she was going for. Regal, vain, intimidating, but it didn't always land. Now let's talk about the seven dwarfs. Or rather, the seven CGI dwarfs. Look, it takes a minute to adjust. When they first appear, it's a bit jarring. But once you settle in, they're fine. Dopey, surprisingly, he gets the most emotional depth. But here's where things get a little interesting. Jonathan, Snow White's love interest, he has his own crew of, you guessed it, 7 bandits. It felt like at one point Disney was going to replace the dwarves with these 7 bandits, but then they changed course. It's odd, and honestly, the bandits don't add much. They're just kind of there. At some point, one of them mentions another by name or is talking about the other by name. And I was kind of lost as to who we were talking about because it felt like at some point these bandits were going to play a bigger role. and they just kind of edit things out to make more room for the seven dwarfs. Look, the biggest difference is Snow White isn't just waiting around for her prince. This version gives her an actual journey, one where she steps into her destiny and reclaims her kingdom. That's a solid change. The seven dwarfs, again, it takes some getting used to, but they serve their purpose. Those bandits, they feel like a leftover idea that never got fully developed. The music, a huge win. It respects the original while adding something fresh. Now let's talk about what didn't work. The CGI. There's a lot of it. The town and forest scenes look great, but then you get to the wide shots, the animals, the backgrounds, and suddenly everything is digital. The dwarves, CGI. The sunset, CGI. The grass, CGI. It doesn't ruin the movie, but it's noticeable. Also, the amount of songs. Look, I love musicals, but at one point I was even like, wait, we're doing another one? It felt like every other scene had a musical number. It wasn't a deal breaker, but it was a lot. I know a lot of people don't like musicals. Just know there is a lot of songs here. So, final verdict. Surprisingly enjoyable. Is it perfect? No. But I don't ever expect these live action remakes to be perfect. Does it improve on the original? In many ways, yes. It gives Snow White more depth, it expands on the story, and it delivers some great musical moments. If you're tired of live action remakes, I don't think this will change your mind. I don't like them, but I did have a good time here. Overall, I give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. But what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? If you've seen the other live action remakes and you're not watching this one, why? Comment below, let me know. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, so you're always up to date with what we're doing here at Real Chums. We'll see you guys on the next one.